Good morning, everyone. I am Kyla Bucal Bautista from Grade 12 GAS, and for today's lesson, we are going to discuss about Quarter 1 Module 3 Lesson 4 entitled Point of View. As a 21st century learners, we live in an era where digital stories that come in our films are more patronized than printed books. People nowadays, including you, prefer videos rather than text because you understand the story more through what you see from the actors. Imagine that vast number of Filipino watching K-dramas from Netflix or Facebook compared to a little number of people reading in e-books or Wattpads. It seems like gone that the days where pocketbooks, novel, and magazines are what we insert in our notebooks and we have a sneak peek reading them. However, we still have to include with the beauty of cultivating and grafting ideas that come out of what we read. In reading, we are able to widen our imagination on what is actually happening inside the text and gain deeper understand of it. We will be able to do this if we are identify the one who is talking in it and on what perspective the story is written. This art and skills in reading is what this module intends for us to learn. The lesson that we are going to discuss is about point of view or POV. Point of view is what the character or narrator telling the story can see, his or her perspective. The author chooses who is to tell the story by determining the point of view. Depending on who the narrator is, he or she will be standing one point and seeing the action. This viewpoint will give the narrator a partial or whole view of events as they happen. Many stories have the protagonist telling the story, while in the others, the narrator may be another character or an outside viewer, a narrator who is not the story at all. The narrator should not be confused with the author, who is the writer of the story and whose opinions may not be those written in a narrative. In this part of the module, we are going to discuss about the different types of point of view. The first type of point of view is we have the first person point of view. When we say first person point of view, it is used when the main character is telling the story. This is the kind that uses the I narration. As a reader, you can experience the story through the person so you won't know anything about the people and events that this character hasn't personally experienced. We also have the first person peripheral. This is when the narrator is a supporting character in the story, not the main character. It still uses the I narration, but since the narrator is not the protagonist, there are events and scenes that will happen to the protagonist that the narrator will have to access to. The second type of point of view is we have the second person point of view. It's generally only used in instructional writing. It is told from the perspective of you. Last but not the least is we have the third person point of view. The third person point of view is used when your narrator is not a character in the story. The third person uses the he or she. It is the most commonly used point of view in the story. We also have the limited. In limited, third person, the narrator sees only what is front of him or her, a specter of events as they unfold and unable to read any other character's mind. We also have the omniscient. An omniscient narrator sees all, much as an all-knowing good for some kind. He or she sees what each character is doing and can see into each character's mind. This is a common with an external character who is standing above, watching the action below. Think of a person with a crystal ball peering in it. We also have the limited omniscient. The limited omniscient third-person narrator can only see into one character's mind. He or she might see other events happening but only knows the reasons of one character's action in the story. Another topic that we are going to discuss in this module is persona. The term persona has been derived from the Latin word persona, which means the mask of an actor, and is therefore etymologically linked to the dramatis personae, which refers to the list of character and cast in a play or a drama. It is also known as a theatrical mask. It can be defined in a literary work as a voice or an assumed role of a character, which presents and thoughts of a writer, or a specific person that the writer wants to present in his masterpiece. Most of the time, the dramatis personae are identified with the writer through sometimes a persona can be a character or an unknown narrator. Example of personae are found not only in dramas but in poems and novels too. Example of persona in literature. Distillation by John L. Velasco. Watching the rain spilling down, droning the earth below, reminds me of life's perpetual change. The storm that we dread is a sea of kindness that lifts the mask of words, avarice, and suffering, and fills the thirst up to the brim of our soul. Again, Distillation by John L. Velasco. The speaker is a persona of John L. Velasco who takes on the character in the poem and writes his perspective using the first-person point of view. Notice that in the first stanza of the poem, the writer himself shares his real-life experience or feelings about distillation. The importance of point of view. Point of view is important in a story because it helps the reader understand characters' feeling and action. Each character will have his or her own perspective, so whoever is telling the story will impact the reader's opinion on other characters and events. Additionally, reading the story from a character in the story versus an external character changes the amount of information a reader has the story unfold. With an omniscient third person, we can see everything before other characters do, which give a forewarning about the events. With a limited third person, we are not allowed to see other events until the narrator does so. This may leave us with more surprises as we read. And that would be the end of our topic for today. Again, I am Kyla Bocal Bautista from Grade 12 GAS, your reporter for today.